Hello, everyone, and welcome to our question and answer and wrap up call for the Marketing Blueprint Workshop for doTERRA. If you don't know me by now, my name is Michelle McCullough. I hope that you do know me a little bit. I don't know how, I can't see that. Okay. We are just going to start with a couple of little things, some questions that came up on the Facebook page, and I am just going to start by telling you a couple of things. So, number one, the best news that I have for you is if you have not finished watching the videos, you do get forever access to that link. So you can watch the videos forever. However, I want you, I might trickily go and take them down in a week. No, I'm kidding. Nobody jokes. Okay. But what I will continue to give you access. However, I won't be able to be popping into the Facebook page for as much. And the course itself kind of is slowing down. Okay. It's not going out forever. I'll still pop in from time to time. You can reach out to me for burning questions. If I feel like you're taking advantage of me, I'll charge you. No, I'm kidding. maybe I will. But so you really do have access forever. That said, I am going to encourage you that if you haven't finished watching the videos, to give yourself until the end of the month to watch them. The whole purpose of putting this together was for you to create your 2017 marketing blueprint. Now, I know that life happens and that things come into your way that make it hard. Someone texted me that their kids have been sick for a few weeks and they've been in and out of the doctors. Someone else said that they had someone pass away in their family, and I totally get that life happens. And so if you can, I would really love to have you finish watching those videos in the next couple of weeks so that you can use them as a foundation for your 2017 marketing, and so that you have that as a foundation for your business that can really help you and that can really help you make some money, because that's kind of the whole point of this, in case you didn't know that. I think you did, but just in case. There was one other thing I was going to tell you, but I actually think I'm going to share that with you at the end. So I know there's only a couple of you on the call right now, but if you have questions, I want to open up the time for questions. Well, a couple of ways that we can do this as more people join the call, if they end up joining us live. You can send me a message via chat that just says, "Hey, Michelle, I have a question," and then I can come back to you. While there's only a couple of us, I'm just going to let you guys throw out questions if you have them. If you don't have questions, I'm happy to keep talking, tell stories, and share other things that might be of value. But I did want you to have this time as part of the course to be able to ask questions from the things that you are watching that you might want more clarification on or customization on in your own specific businesses. So, okay, hello.
Hi, I have a question, Michelle. As you can see from the wrinkles, I'm not of the younger generation, and so much of what you referred to as common knowledge and everybody breathes the air is truly a foreign language to me. And I know that I actually 3 months ago ordered Facebook for Dummies and read it from cover to cover just to be able to communicate with my kids. But are there some resources where I can learn about Instagram and LinkedIn and all this so that I have a working knowledge without wasting my time trying to find decent resources?
Sure, absolutely. Now, there are 500,000 different resources available for you online that will help you with this. I'm going to direct you to a couple of my favorite free ones.
Wonderful.
And you can sift through them. That said, some of them are going to be like drinking out of a fire hose too, but they do give you the option to search. So the first one is called Social Media Examiner. And Social Media Examiner is an online website. They also host live events, but they are the go-to place for everything social media. And they post on a regular basis. They post the changes and things that are going on. And you can go to their search bar and you could post Instagram for beginners, and all of the posts that they have for Instagram for beginners will come up because they've tagged them like that. And you can go in and do Facebook for beginners or whatever it is and search within their own system, and you'll see articles that will help you with that. So
Thank you.
That's one of my very favorites. And depending on whether you're looking at it from a user standpoint, like how to use it better versus how you want to do a business standpoint, There are some other people out there that do really good social media trainings. Some may or may not be specific. So if you're looking at a social media training or a course, make sure that you're looking at ones that are specific to small businesses or even those within direct sales, because there are some things that are different in big businesses that wouldn't apply. So just make sure that you go in and do some research and say, hey, is this the right thing for me? Is it not the right thing for me? How do I know for sure? And do a little digging that way.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Who else has a question? I see 4 of us, so you can raise your hand even. I can even see you like that, like old school, like we're in the same room. And names came up before, but now I don't see them.
Michelle?
Yes.
Lindsay said on the Facebook ad that group could email her for her slides. Do you think that could still apply to us as well?
Yes. In fact, I have them and I can send them to you.
Okay. That'd be great.
Mm-hmm. That's easy. What else?
Let's see. What else did I do today? Oh, so you were trying to get everybody to do a once a week Facebook Live, once a month, at the bare minimum. How much is too much Facebook Live?
It's too much when your audience says you've got to stop. And
Okay.
It's too much when not just one person, but like multiple people say you Facebook Live too much and I can't handle it. I know some people who, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to, if the rest of your audience is saying, this is awesome, I love that you're posting every single day or 10 times a day, that's probably a little much. 10 times.
Okay.
But you could probably get away with it. Here's my best advice, and I kind of shared this a little bit on the video, but if you want to do a Facebook Live series, I want you to treat it like a TV show. Like,
okay.
If you had your very own TV show, what would you tell people? No, it doesn't have to be 30 minutes. It doesn't have to be any specific amount of time. But if you were to have a TV show where people were tuning in and listening to you, whether it was every day, like the Today Show, or once a week, like, I don't know, whatever's once a week, okay? Sometimes I don't think of great examples off the top of my head. What would you share and why? Because if you can give your audience routine, if you're going to say, hey, I'm going to share daily tips and tricks on aerobics, doTERRA, natural wellness, and you can tune in every morning at 9 a.m. with me on the Tiffany Show, then you've set the expectation that you are going to be on every single day. You've set the expectation that you're going to have cool stuff every single day, and people will either tune in then or they'll go and watch for the playbacks later, but you've set that expectation like it's a show. Now, if you don't know exactly, I don't have a regular date and time, partly because my travel schedule and my speaking schedule doesn't really allow me to do that. So I'll pop in from time to time when I can, or I'll say, hey, tomorrow I'm going to share a Facebook Live, or I'll just start. But if you know that you want Facebook Live to be part of your strategy and you do have the ability to be consistent in some way, I think that you'll find really great success that way, and you can multi-use them. So if you record a Facebook Live in the morning, and if you're going to do them every week or once a day, save them to your phone and also upload them to YouTube. And you can share them in other places. You can put them on your website as one of your articles for the day. So I am all about taking one asset and multi-using it. Make sure you're pushing it out to your social media channels. Make sure everybody's getting it. But just make sure that through the course of that process that you've created a system for everyone to see them however you see them, and that you do something that you can keep up. So if you are going to say, hey, I'm going to post weekly on Mondays, then try really hard to post weekly on Mondays. Obviously, if it doesn't happen because you're traveling or whatever, that's fine too. But I think that you'll find that your audience will love the routine of it, and it helps also establish some credibility for you as well.
Is there a length of time for the videos that's better than others? I know when they get too long, I tend to tune out.
Right. And I think part of that is the expectation too, right? So I've seen some people do super great success where they'll name their show as long as it is. So my friends, Mike, not Mike, why I'm saying that, Scott and Becky McIntosh have a podcast show that's called Life in 22 Minutes. And so theirs is 22 minutes. And so they've set
Okay.
an expectation that people can listen in for that. But you could say, you can do like 10 minutes with Tiffany every single morning, and that could be part of your show, or that could be a subtitle of your show. And then people know it's only 10 minutes. They can sit and watch it. They can watch it now. They can watch it later, but you kind of set that expectation.
Okay.
So you don't have to do it that way. It's just an idea to kind of tell people. Part of what we do to make it a routine is to set an expectation, and everybody knows that Jimmy Fallon's going to be on for an hour. And so,
Okay.
but in terms of what's best, if they're how-to videos and you're walking people through something, they're showing on YouTube the optimal times being between 8 and 12 minutes. And 12 minutes
Okay.
is the max. But for how-to videos, people don't want them to be like 3 minutes. Like if they're looking through a list of 20 different people who have done how to do X, Y, and Z, and there's some 3-minute videos and there's some 20-minute videos. 3 minutes doesn't feel like they're going to get enough. 20 minutes might feel like too long, but 8 to 10 people will go, oh, I can watch that for 8 to 10 minutes if it's something that I care about and that I want to know about because they've searched for it, or the title is so awesome that people are interested in it. I just did a whole series of videos in the studio yesterday, and they're between 5 and 15 minutes. Some of them are longer than others because they have to be, and some of them are shorter than others because I didn't have enough to say for 8 to 12 minutes. But for YouTube, they're recommending that length. And I think it's similar on Facebook. But I also think that where Facebook Live is a little bit spontaneous, people don't know how long it's going to be unless you set that expectation. But if you say, hey, I'm sharing this with you for this much time, and you set that as a general rule, then people will know. Because sometimes you get off your Facebook Lives, you don't watch what somebody's doing because you're like, how long is this? Or how long are they going to go? Just not knowing makes you want to click off.
Yeah. Okay. So I could do like 2 minutes with Tiff and 10 minutes with Tiff. I just set up the expectation based upon if it's a tip or if it's a how-to.
Exactly. And
Okay.
you could easily put that as part of your title. So when you're going in to create the Facebook Live, you could say, this tip is on healthy sleep habits, and then dash another episode of 2 Minutes with Tiffany. And then when people are going through and it comes up or they catch it midstream, they know exactly where they are. Or if it's a 10-minute one, they'll know, oh, okay, great. I'm only 2 minutes in. I'll just watch the last 10.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah,
Awesome.
I love me some Facebook Live.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to experiment with it with like just really fast snacks and just things that I think I'm just trying to think of more as I set up the 12 months of blog posts. Like it's really easy for me to do exercise and nutrition and oils. But as I've looked at the other ones, I'm like, okay, how do I do? But skincare you could do quickly as well too. Just quickly wash your face or whatever. So, but I agree. Like I feel like I connect more and I learn more about people more quickly when I can see a video of them and see them make mistakes and not look perfect all the time. And that's what I want for me. I don't look perfect all the time. And I want people to just know that, like, I'm a mom and this is what you get some days, and some days I have a face on and some days I don't.
I have always thought, and I'm telling you guys now, and you can choose to take it or not because I'm giving it to you as an idea, but one of the things that I have thought about doing is doing like Take Me As I Am Tuesday, and just setting a time that it's 10 a.m. on Tuesdays or whatever, like whatever I'm doing Wednesdays at 10, because like I said, my schedule's hard for me to pick, and because my brand is a little bit more professional, and some people would be scared if they didn't see me with makeup on. But maybe that's just who I am. And if it's Tuesday and I'm in the middle of a conference, and as long as I'm not speaking, then I could just say, hey, here I am. I'm in Orlando. I'm at this hotel. This is what I'm up to. I wanted to share with you this tip today. But then I also thought if it's Tuesday and I'm in jeans and a t-shirt and I'm just being a mom and I'm running around doing errands, it can be, hey, take me as I am Tuesday. And I am not wearing makeup and I'm not doing this. Because here's the reason why Facebook Lives and Instagram stories and everything else works, because it's real, right? It's not staged. And there's definitely a place for, like I said, I still see the value of booking a studio and doing a bunch of professional videos. But what people are loving about Facebook Live is that they're getting a sneak peek into people's lives and they're seeing things that they wouldn't normally see. And so if you can build a brand or a title or a following around something that's real, then I don't think that you have to say, hey, this is perfection at 10 o'clock. This is who I am at this time, and this is what's working and what's not working.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, let me see what my question was.
Anybody else?
Here's my binder.
Oh,
Look at how pretty that is.
I'm proud of you. I'm so proud of you. And I'm going to go find the banana cake recipe and put that in there.
Okay, thank you.
I do have some tangents. Okay, here's a question. Okay, who has a question? I'm not seeing any hands raised. Chris, if you want, Jen is on. You can unmute too if you want. Or if you need me to, oh, do you need me to tell you how to unmute yourself, or can you?
We can unmute ourselves.
Okay.
In that bottom left corner.
Okay, excellent. If you want, you can unmute yourself. If you want to just pop the question into the chat box, I can check the chat box as well if you don't have any specific questions. I'm going to go and then ask a couple of questions to you for you to share. I would love for you who have watched the video, I want you to share maybe your best takeaway. Even if you've only watched one video or two videos, it doesn't matter how many. Share one of the things that you have looked at and done that you're excited to either implement, or that you learned, or that made you really happy, or the part where you thought that I was the most embarrassing. It doesn't matter. You can share anything that you want.
The part that I thought was the best, most embarrassing one was when you said fart with start. I'm still dying over that.
Oh my gosh. That
I was like, is she going to keep going? Because I totally would not be able to.
Nope. And sometimes, like, I feel like I should change the name of my company to I Pay the Bills by My Most Embarrassing Moments. And so then I can like take some embarrassing moments and turn them into success or marketing principles or whatever. But sometimes I am the embarrassing moment, okay? And I do accidentally say fart instead of start in front of a professional audience of paying people who have paid to hear me say professional things. And I sound like a third grader. So there you go.
Oh, it was so great. It was so great. Go ahead.
I'd say paradigm shift, a game changer, was the concept of finding your message by theme, umbrella theme, and putting it on a 12-month calendar. That was powerful.
Oh, good. See, here's the thing, people. Sometimes we get so caught up in selling a product, we forget that people want more information. We know it all, right? We know exactly how awesome the oils are. We know exactly how awesome lifelong vitality is. We know that On Guard can protect your family. Like, we know all of these things about these products, but other people need the stories of it. They need to hear some of that. They need that educational conversion, and they want it from you, because when people buy a big brand, when I buy an Apple product, I'm buying a story. I'm buying that they have quality. I'm buying because I bought other products from them. And so I've already bought into that messaging. But if this is new to them, then they still need to be trained and educated in that. But the best part about creating an umbrella topic and then creating some topics underneath that is that you get to be the one who's the expert, and you get to be the one to say, hey, I've got some stuff I want to share, and I have some ways I think are going to help you and change your life. And so the messaging piece is really great, because it helps you share the messages that you need to share, but it also puts you at the forefront as someone who can help them and answer their questions, because you have that knowledge and expertise. Here's the other thing. It doesn't have to be long. You don't have to share long 12,000 word count blog posts. They can be quick tips or paragraphs. They can be a quick little video or snippet, but you're still contributing to the message and contributing to the education of what people want, because they want to feel and have that base level before they make a commitment, because they're going to test it. And especially in this place where you didn't mind, some of us, we grew up understanding Tylenol and Advil and all these other things. That was taught to us. Natural solutions were not taught to us. So it's going to be harder for somebody to reach for that because they don't have that baseline, and they need that, and they can get that from you. Even and sure, it might take a little while to convert some people because that education shift has to happen. But if you don't do the education shift, they will never come around to that. So it's really important, especially in your world where it's not a product that is readily available. It's not a product they were taught about from the time they were super little. And granted, you do find some of those people who was brought in. It just makes that messaging job all the more important. But like we talked about, there's so many ways to do it. Audios, videos, writing, whatever that is. So excellent. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else want to share something that they loved or favorite takeaway? You can unmute.
I know I showed a funny thing, but going along with what she just said about the 12-month plan, I really liked I was trying to find it in my notes, but the advice that on my website, or even in short snippets, to diffuse any objections that they have up front, so letting them know, gosh, I wish I could find it because I totally wrote it down. When you said, yes, it might be more convenient, and yes, it might be less expensive, but it won't be better, and the oil and your money won't work for you. So I feel like that was like a huge shift for me because it answered so many questions. If I just send somebody to my website and I've already addressed all of those things, like this is why you don't get it on Amazon, this is why we're different than here, and that's foundational for doTERRA, because it's what makes us different, and then you can have a link to the source to you page. And I did, one other aha moment for me too was, we talked about walking through Costco. I do buy several things at Costco because I've sampled them. And I was like, you know what? I really just need to give out more samples, even not just to new people, but I thought about sending sample packs to my current customers to nurture them, or people that haven't ordered for a while, with a sample of the shampoo and a sample of the toothpaste and a sample of the new Slim and Sassy gum, just one of each thing, so that they can sample those products, and then they might show up on their order, or they might renew their membership. And then obviously the follow-up after mailing that out would be good. And I just remembered my big question I was going to ask you, and now I totally forgot it again. Dang it. Okay, I'll remember it, because I do have a golden question. It's just not written on the front of my notes.
Yeah, I have a dumb social media person question.
Not
and
dumb.
No, it is dumb. It is dumb. In this world, it is dumb. Just put it down to senility. But hashtag. I mean, it's funny when you say it and all that. I even tried going on to figure out what a hashtag is, let alone what it does. Right now, the screen you're showing is asking me to do something. Fuera mejor si se estudiara en español, porque yo entiendo español, pero no entiendo eso.
Yeah. So so a hashtag, and I'm sorry, I talk about them a lot because that's the world that I am in.
I know it is the world everybody's in. I'm on an island in the Pacific somewhere, and there's no boat coming. So help.
I think of hashtags as conversations. So hashtags link information. So if I put a hashtag, let's say I use hashtag essential oils on an Instagram post, or on a Facebook post, or on a tweet. If anyone clicks on that, they're going to see all of the posts that have ever been posted where anyone also used hashtag essential oils. So the good part about that is that if you start to use hashtags in your marketing, people who are sifting through some of those to see what else is out there might see your post even if they don't follow you. And you're also contributing to a conversation that might be bigger as a whole. And so I talk about tapping into some of those other conversations. And I worked with a doTERRA person where we were trying to get them to select some hashtags, and you don't have to stay with the same ones, but we were trying to find some top ones for them. And we were looking, and I think I shared this example, so forgive me for being a broken record about this, but we were looking to add, like, should we use health or should we add it? And we end up finding that healthy has fewer people posting to it, which is good in some cases. Like sometimes you want to be part of the really big conversations when there's 30 million people that have posted about it. But sometimes your messages can get lost in that. We found out that healthy was used about 10% of the time. So there were only 3 million posts on healthy, which means that wasn't as big. And so even though she was using both, we added that extra hashtag because there was another conversation that she could tie that post into. Likewise, you can create some of your own. So for example, I have a book launch coming out in March, and I've started using hashtag Make It Happen Blueprint. No one else is using that, and that doesn't necessarily mean that has to be a prerequisite, but I am attaching all of the things that I'm talking about with my book with a hashtag, and you don't have to register it, you just start using it. So at the end of your posts, you can just add, you can tie into conversations that are already happening, or if you want to start a conversation or kind of create a brand around something, you can hashtag it. And I think another example that I give is that for one of my podcasts, the podcast is called The Living Room, and it's a podcast for women. We talk about parenting, motherhood, like running a business, whatever it is, goal setting, but it's specifically for women. And our tagline is give yourself some living room. So we hashtag give yourself some living room on all of our posts, and other people have started to use it too. But now if somebody sees their friend hashtag give yourself some living room and they click on it, they're going to see all of our podcasts. So we're just kind of creating a conversation. It's almost like a hyperlink, but it links everybody who has used that exact same thing. And somebody else probably could have described a hashtag in under 2 minutes, but I'm sorry you asked me, and I took like 3.
I love it. You could go on for 10 and I'd still be happy. Thank you.
I really,
Okay.
I could talk about hashtags for an hour and you might get bored, but I would still be talking. Just kind of how it goes.
I remembered my question. Can I ask it now?
Yes.
Okay. So you talked about keeping people on your home court for as long as you can. So when you're writing a blog post, you're highlighting a specific word, right? It's usually underlined and it leads them to a different blog post on your page. Well, what if you're just starting blogging? How do I keep them on my page? Or do I just start and then eventually I put them
So
in my posts?
If you don't have that right now, then I'm going to recommend that you, if you don't already have like an opt-in, right? Because that's another great way to keep. If you do have that already, then I would just put at the bottom of that, come back later to check out more posts, so that they know that you're new, that they know that you're fresh, but you're saying, hey, come back later for more information. If you like these tips and tricks, make sure to check back here on a regular basis so that you don't miss any of the posts that I post. So just let people know that you will be posting more over time, and then over time you can go back in and use them.
Okay.
Okay, I saw a hand over here. I'm sorry I don't see names, but somebody kind of waved at me like they wanted to ask a question. No? Okay. Or thought, does anybody else have anything they wanted to share about something that they liked when they watched, that they learned?
I actually have a question.
Okay, Ellie, go ahead.
So I've had a really, can you hear me okay?
It's cutting in and out, but I can still hear you.
No?
I can hear you.
Okay, my connection isn't awesome apparently. Yeah, I can hear you.
And I can.
Okay, so we'll see. Okay. I am having a really hard time with my avatar, trying to figure out exactly who my audience is.
Okay.
And I feel like I have this idea that of what I'm trying to do in my business as like helping people, discover that they can use natural solutions, right, instead of the doctor or whatever first. But how to, I feel like there's so many different sides of who I am that I just can't narrow down. Like, I'm not just interested in birth, even though my apprentice is a midwife and I really like that end of things. Like, I don't want to just focus on that. Anyway, I don't know exactly what to do.
Now that's okay. So you can have multiple avatars. You can have multiple audiences, and um, if you want to go the midwife route, and if you want to have some conversations around that, then you can. And you don't necessarily have to feel like you are keeping people from hearing about you because you are struggling with that or whatever. So don't feel like if you niche yourself so small that you're going to ruin everybody else. You can still talk about other generic things, but I wholeheartedly recommend that you do pick a niche or two that you can really speak to. And then from time to time, you can share other tips and things, but you'll feel better if you focus on one or two audiences. It'll make it a lot easier for you to create marketing materials, to create messages, to create blog posts if you need it, or even just social media posts. Maybe you don't even have a blog yet. Even social media posts, it's better if you have some focus. Now, the other thing that I have seen people do, and you can do this, it takes a little bit of extra, and I don't want anybody to freak out. So if you tend to get overwhelmed, or if you feel like I have too many ideas, you might just want to go like this for just a minute and then watch it later, but that's okay. But let's say, for example, that you really cared about 5 audiences, that there were, after you went through the exercise, you figured out that your target market really is 5 different things. And for sake of conversation, let's go with natural birth, people who are doing natural birth, athletic performance, maybe specifically runners. Runners are really big. Maybe you want to talk about moms with kids who are struggling with attention disorders. And maybe you also want to talk about pets, okay? And then you also want to talk about gardening. Just for the sake of conversation, let's say you pick these 5 random things that you are so passionate about that you cannot really focus. And you can't help it because you love all 5 of those aspects of your doTERRA business. So I might recommend to you that you treat your Facebook page, if that's how you're going to do it, or your blog post like a magazine. And then when you have a magazine, there are some things that you talk about regularly. There are some columns that are always in there. If you open up a ladies magazine, they will always have a recipe. They will always have something about health and wellness. They will always have something about success principles. They will always have something about parenting. And so they've kind of created columns for themselves. And we talk about this a little bit in the video, but if you really feel like you have to have those 5, then I would give each of them a day of the week. And I would say, okay, Monday is going to be all about natural birth, and Tuesday is always going to be about this. Now, you may not be able to blog every single day about that, but you could definitely post a tip or advice or an article or something from you or even somebody else on your social media pages. But at least it gives you some focus to say, okay, hey, Mondays is going to be all about this. And you can tell your audience, you can say, hey, on my business page or in my group on Mondays, I'm going to be sharing about things with natural birth. And if that's something that you're in the middle of, or you know somebody that could do that, send them my direction on Mondays. On Tuesdays, I'm going to talk about runners and how before the run, during the run, after the run, all things essential oils, all things supplements, all things eating and nutrition, that's going to be Tuesday. However you do it, just give yourself a routine. The whole point of going through the process of creating your avatar and then going into your messages is figuring out how you can message them appropriately. And whether you pick 2 or 3 or whether you just pick 1, just make sure you give yourself a system and a routine to reach them and to make sure that you're giving them the messaging that they need so that they will convert into paying customers. And so however you do that, if you need to focus and have 1 or 2, or if you decide you have to have 5 random ones, whatever they are, just make sure you know how you're going to message them, put the information out there, and that you're complete in telling that story. Does that help?
Yeah. Okay. So one other question along with that then. So let's say I choose gardening or whatever. How important is it to still have an idea of who your audience? I mean, it seems like, there's old men gardeners, young mom gardeners, I would assume that it's still important to try to figure out the person you're trying to talk to, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because moms that are gardening have less time, and they also have to worry more about their I mean, just as an example, right? So if you are going to go gardening, but you're going to go gardening for moms, well, then you also would shift your focus, and you might talk about box gardens. You might talk about inside gardens. You might talk about kid-proofed gardens. You might talk about oils that are safe for your kids to use with you while you're gardening. Where if you're dealing with an older audience that could use essential oils in their gardening, that message is going to be different. They're not as concerned about kid safety. They're not as concerned about kids trampling through their gardens. They are probably dealing with a higher level of plants. They have more experience. And so, yeah, that messaging definitely changes. So as you pick your audience, one of the best ways to narrow it is to pick an age. So if you're going to do runners, are you going to do runners that are in their prime? Or are you going to do runners that are trying to make a comeback in their 50s? Are you going to do young runners? Make some specific age things and go through the other demographic questions. Are they local? Are they national? Where do they read? What are they looking at? Because that will really help you target your messages to reach those specific people. And because it would be really hard. And you could talk about running in every age and stage, and you could talk about gardening in every age and stage, just as long as you're clear that you do help people in every age and stage of gardening.
Do you, I just forgot what I was going to say. Do you think it works better if you're targeting the audience like my age that I'm in, and since I'm female, I'm targeting females, and since I'm a mom, I should target moms? Like, does that make more sense?
So it is true that in many cases, and especially in direct sales, and I've seen this in doTERRA too, where many people who will go through this process, and maybe even those who are in this class, will figure out that their avatar is them. Like, they're looking for women between the ages of 25 and 45. They have young kids at home and this, and they've gone through that avatar. The reason why that resonates is because you can speak to them, because you're in the middle of that. It is possible for you to speak to elderly or caregivers of the elderly if you have some specific expertise where you can say, you know what, I might look like a young 25-year-old. I don't know how old you are, Ellie, but let's just say you're 25, okay? A young 25-year-old, but I used to work in a nursing home, and so I really am specific with this. Or I used to have my grandparents live with me, and so you might need to provide some credibility. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like a certification. It doesn't necessarily have to be that you've worked there or lived there for a long time. But somehow say, I've really taken a passion to this. Or I found, you can even make a story or a narrative about it and say, you know what, I am this young mom and I am so young, no one even knows how old I am. That said, I've had some unique clients that are in their 60s and retiring and empty nesters that have really loved these products. And so as I've worked with them, I have charted the process and system and figured out what they care about most. And I would love to help more people like that. Does that make sense? So you can create a target market that is outside of you, and you can speak to it even without experience and even without a certification, if you talk about how you've done it with some like social proof, if you will, that you've done the work, or that you've helped other people and that you want to help more people because you found that that specific thing was really successful.
I think the other thing is sometimes I get worried that I'll get like bored or feel stuck. But I mean, you can always change who your audience is, right? Like,
absolutely. So I'm going to encourage you to focus, and just like I would with social media, pick one or two, and then if you feel like you're rocking those, add another one later. And then if you feel like you're rocking those three, add another one after that. So it's much better for you to start and go deep and figure out the best ones, one or two that you can talk to, especially if you're like, okay, well, you know what? I do have young kids and I don't get to spend 40 hours a week on doTERRA, and I'm not able to post one thing for gardeners and one thing for runners and one thing for pets and one thing for this and one thing for that every single week. That's not something I can do, but I could really rock a conversation to natural birth, and I could really rock a conversation on pets, and I'm just going to pick those two. And even though they're completely random and totally different, you can just say to your audience, hey, I've got some unique experience here and here, and don't worry, I can still help your family with their breadth of wellness issues, but I'm really passionate about this and this subject. And I'll still be sharing from time to time something that might be work for you. But then your audience, here's the other part that you have to remember, and this is for everyone. that one of the things that is really important about you choosing a target market and focusing on it is that you want people to know that you know them. You want them to feel like they relate with you. And that doesn't mean that they have to be the same age, but it just means that they want to know that you're speaking their language. And the more that you spread yourself thin across multiple avatars, the less likely someone is going to feel like they are getting the right answer for them, that they're getting the right answer with you, because they're like, oh, well, she helps this person and this person and this person, this person. Does she really understand me? Does she really understand my problems? And so some of the people that have been the most successful within doTERRA have really picked a niche. And yeah, other people will come, but they picked that niche. And because they're speaking that language so well, people are flocking to them. And those friends are telling their friends. And those friends that are in those support groups are saying, oh my gosh, I got help over here. You've got to talk to my doTERRA lady because she is so smart and knowledgeable and she finally has help for us. And so if they feel like not only you can speak that language, but that you really are focused on them, that will also help the conversion process. So yes, it is possible to have 5 audiences, but you'll do better, I think, as you start small and maybe ramp up. But do it if it's best for you. Like my job is to give you a whole bunch of ideas. It's your job to say, how does this work for me? Hopefully that helps. Good. She gave me the thumbs up, so that means it was golden, people. It was golden. Okay, does anybody else have a question out there? If you want, you can unmute yourself. I saw a hand. Okay, I don't see who that is, though.
So this is Chris, and I have a question about where to get the materials, to get the materials for the post. And I see a lot of them on yours that you have created them, and they have, you know, your name on them. And I'm like, when do you have time to get the information and to make the post? And I know doTERRA has some, and there's some other ones, but it's like a full-time job just to get the posts.
It's true. It's totally true. And I don't want you to spread yourself too thin. I'm going to show you this page for a couple of resources. So number one, in the beginning, I started doing these things myself. Okay. And I would go and I would create a template like this one right here. Can you see my arrow cursor? This one is in a service called Word Swag. And Word Swag is an app that you can get on your phone. They have them for both Android and iPhone. And they have some template backgrounds, and they also have template fonts. So I can go through and pick this look and feel, and then it'll format it for me, and then I can hit save. And then it'll give me the option to re-swag, and I can go in and add my logo. So they provided this picture. They gave me some options for layout, and then I went back in and I added my logo. Now, it doesn't look fantastic. It does not look like Coca-Cola made it, okay? But Coca-Cola didn't make it, okay? I made it on my phone, and I did the really darndest that I could. Now, granted, we really should have just used this logo in the bottom there and not that really busy one. So I use this as don't necessarily do this. But it is a tool that works. Word Swag is awesome. I put a lot of different things in Word Swag, and that's something that I do for my phone. One of the ones that I use now a lot is also called Canva, CANVA.com. I encourage you to do that on your desktop. Similar to Word Swag, there are some background images. They have a lot of stock photos that you can use. They also have a lot of layouts. And Word Swag will do squares or rectangles, and that's it. Squares or even tall rectangles, and that's it. But they won't do any other sizes. On Canva, when you log in, it will give you choices. Do you want a social media post? Do you want a LinkedIn post? Do you want a Facebook post? Do you want a blog picture? Do you want a flyer? Do you want a website header graphic? And so you can click on that, and then it's going to make the size that you want. So you can choose the sizes, and then you can go in and then they have some already made for you. So you can look at a bunch of options. I'm going to see if I can show you.
Michelle,
Yes,
can I say something really fast?
absolutely.
On Word Swag, you can do a Facebook post, a Twitter post. There's a 3x4 or a 4x3. There's a Pinterest one. You can choose different sizes now.
Oh, good. Well, I haven't been on there in a while. Or you know what? I actually have been on there a while, but I probably haven't updated my app.
Yeah. Well, I just did last week because I knew we were doing this. And so I'm like, oh, I should make some more word swag. And I just noticed across the bottom that there were a lot more. There's a LinkedIn, a Pinterest, a Twitter, a Facebook cover, and a Facebook post, and a square.
Genius. See, that'll make it super easy for you. Okay, so I'm going to show you on, can you see my Facebook account now? Yes, okay. So, yep, you can see all my friends posting, all my personal stuff. It's a good thing I didn't talk about anything embarrassing up there. Oh, this is going to go so slow. It's going to make me cry. It's going to go slow. I want it not to go slow. Okay, so I was going to show you, so here's another trick, and I'll be 100% honest. My assistant makes them for me now. Okay, so I have a teenage boy who is 17 years old who comes over to my house for 4 hours a week. I pay him $8 an hour. And he makes all of my posts for me. So I'll go in and I make a spreadsheet. And on my spreadsheet, I will put a bunch of tips. I'll put a bunch of quotes, and I'll say, I want him in this design, and he'll go in and do them for me. And then he schedules them for me. So I'm still creating the content, but he's going in and creating the pictures. Now, part of that is because I have 4 different companies that I'm making posts for, and I have 4 different budgets that are helping me pay for that. In the beginning, I did them myself. I just sat down, but that's why batching is so important. So in the section on social media where I talk about spending 2 hours a year, 2 hours a month, 15 minutes a week, and 15 minutes a day, sitting down for 2 hours and just making a bunch of posts. And that worked for me, and that system worked because I could figure out how to put them all in, how to make them work and look good. And I just started using things that way. This is not working. My visual aids are not helpful. Okay, so we'll just pretend like we don't have it. I was going to show you a couple of different things. So Canva's great, and it's easy to copy and paste things in. It's easy to pick a design. One of the ones that I was going to show you, we did for Startup Princess. So Startup Princess is for women entrepreneurs, and we found a Canva background that had some really cute stars, but the stars were not colored the same way for our brand. So I had my assistant just go in and change the colors that totally matched, and added my little thing at the bottom, and he made a bunch of quotes for me. And now we have like 100 quotes on leadership and business in something that matches our branding. And so that didn't take very long. I think he made, just as an example so that you can see it, I think that once we had the design down and everything was colored, he made like 30 in an hour. So for $8, that was worth every single penny. That's a month's worth if you're doing one a day. And so don't be afraid to outsource some of those things. And yeah, it might take you a little bit more, but like I said, he only works for me 2 to 3 hours a week on 4 different companies, and sometimes it's up to 5, but like this week, he only worked 3 hours, but he scheduled a whole month's worth of posts on 4 different companies for me. So this is the one I was going to show you. Can you see those little dots? So we just changed the colors and added this, and there's 100 of them. And it's really easy. And we did it all in Canva, saved it, uploaded it, but I can use them in Facebook. I can use these. And I chose square for my standard, even though Twitter size is different. But if you'll notice, because I didn't want him to duplicate, I told him he needed to keep the text right in the middle. And so when this is uploaded to Twitter, you only see 4 or 5 different stars. You don't see the whole square, but they do see the meat of it, and they still get some graphics. But I didn't want him double making things because I like to cut corners, and I don't like to spend 500 billion times on it. So we have squares for Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, but we're just cautious that Twitter will show a rectangle this way. And so I just made sure that everything that we were doing fit in the middle of that. So those are my 2 favorite resources, WordSwag and Canva. And here's another trick that I used to do is I would keep track of them on my phone or in Google Drive. And so if I was sitting at the doctor's office, I would go in and I would make a bunch of those while I was sitting at the doctor's office and just save them to my phone. So part of anything in marketing is if you decide that you're going to create a graphics campaign, find time that you're going to make it happen. So if you're going to do graphics and you just decide, you know what, the only way I can do these graphics is if I'm doing them while I'm waiting somewhere. If I'm waiting in the carpool line, if I'm waiting at the doctor's office, I'll make graphics then. But make it part of your system and make yourself prepared so that if that's the way that it works, because you don't have another 30 minutes to sit down and make graphics, then just make sure that you have everything accessible on your phone. So with anything, yeah, it's great to have these pictures, but if there isn't a system in place to make them work, to get them done and schedule them, then it doesn't matter that I have them, or they'll never happen, right? Does that help?
That helps a lot. Yeah. And it's easy also when I think of like doing a month, like this month is going to be cleanses or this, and then I can kind of put ideas all in one spot and say, I know I'm going to be doing this in, you know, June. And so I'm just gathering stuff. So that's been helpful.
Absolutely. And for example, like next month is, I was talking about this a little bit earlier, I don't know if you were on, but next month is my book launch. And so right now we are swimming in social media posts for my book launch, but I also have other brands that needed to be on autopilot. Whoa, I don't know what that was. I don't know what that was. Is it echoing for you or just me? Oh man.
For all of us.
It's not because I'm a rock star. Okay, I don't know how to fix it. Hang on a second. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, good. When in doubt, hit the mute button and then unmute and just see. Cross your fingers. Okay. So we had to get all of that stuff done in advance because there's so many other things going on. But because you have your beautiful messages system, you know March is going to be X, June is going to be X, and they can work way far ahead of you, even if you're not ready. And if you're not there yet. So again, like I said, the best part is to create a routine around it. If you know you can be working on April now and you can work on June later, and if you just have a way to keep a system, keep track of it on a Google Drive so that you can have it on your phone and your computer, then you can work as far ahead as you want, and your team can help you work as far ahead as you want. And you can say, you know what, September is going to be crazy because I'm going to be at convention, and then all the stuff that happens after convention is craziness too. But I don't want to lose the momentum of my audience because I really care about creating a residual paycheck and residual income, but somehow September always suffers. Well, now you can work ahead on September, and your audience that doesn't come to convention and isn't involved in that is still getting nurtured with your messages because you've created it that way. Once again, I'm sure you thought that was like a 1-minute question, and then I went on for 5. So what other questions do you want me to babble on about, Chris?
Well, this is along the same line. So that was super helpful because like I can spend hours. Last night I was up for hours making something similar to that. And I just thought I got 8 of them done in like 4 hours. And I'm like, I can't do this. This is just going to kill me. But also, where do you get the actual content? I mean, yes, we're experts, you know, or yes, we know these things, but where do I have to scour all these websites? I mean, doTERRA has some amazing things. Some of my favorite websites have things. Other people's posts, where do you get the actual content?
So a couple of things. So part of my brand and across multiple platforms is quotes. People like quotes, people share quotes, people love quotes. And I had my assistant go in, and I actually had my overseas assistant go in, and I told her to pull 150 leadership quotes. And so she went in and she did a search for 150 leadership quotes. You could do quotes on healthy living, natural lifestyle, mindfulness, and you could even go search for them yourself on Google. And there are a lot of brands that are like, here, you'll be surprised. You think you're picking something really random, and there's a post that somebody's already done with 100 top quotes on X. And so you can just copy and paste those out. They're all annotated. You know who they came from. But when it's me and I'm sharing some tips and tricks from me, then I just use my messages as a guide, and I'll just sit down and I'll go, okay, I need 15 tips on staying motivated and energetic in the middle of the day. And so I'll just go, okay, what are my tips for staying motivated and energetic in the middle of the day? Number 1, drink lots of water, hydrate. Number 2, make sure that you're getting enough sleep at night. Number 3, use citrus bliss oil in the middle of the day. or drink lemon oil. So go through and just think about a subject. And if you're doing cleansing, what are your top 10, 15 tips for cleansing? How can you help people with that? So some of the things can be from you. And because it's going so slow, I can't show you very well. But on one of my pages, I did a series of 5 tips. And so at the top, I did tip number 1. And then here was the tip down here. And then I did tip number 2. And here was the tip down here. So that if somebody saw number 2, they would go, wait a minute, what's number 1? And so then I used my hashtags. And I would hashtag those tips. And so people could click on the hashtag and they could see all the tips that I did on that one thing. And so you could do Chris on cleansing. Tip number 1 is this. Tip number 2 is this. Tip number 3 is this. And you're using a hashtag. Now, I don't necessarily recommend hashtags in every outlet, but you could do, hey, Chris on cleansing tip number 1, and then Chris on cleansing tip number 2. And people really could go search even in Facebook for your tips on cleansing, and then they would see all of them come up, even if you're using them over the course of a month. So use your own tips and ideas. They don't have to be long. Share your own thoughts of things that work. The other thing that's good to share and kind of curate is testimonials, and people who are like, so on the cleansing conversation, find people who have done cleanses, look at your customers who have done cleanses and say, hey, share with me your favorite tips, or share with me your favorite success principle that worked for you in cleansing, or share with me your favorite result that you got from cleansing. And then you've got some tips that are coming from you, but you also have benefits of cleansing. Here are the benefits of cleansing. And this advice came from Michelle, and this advice came from Sandy, and this advice came from somebody else. So you can also crowdsource your content too, and go to your Facebook page and say, hey, next month our topic and theme is cleansing. I'd love to share your tips and ideas on my Facebook page. In the comments below, share with me your favorite tips or your favorite benefits of cleansing. And then you're getting other people to write your content for you.
Super. I like that.
Excellent. Okay, anyone else have questions? I'm going to stay on for a few more minutes. I know we just said from 7 to 8, but I'm going to stay on for, if not for as long as you have questions, but I'm at least committed for another 12 minutes. And then after that, if you're not exciting anymore, then I have to go. But if you're still exciting, I might stick around. Who knows? Nope, you're like, I'm done with you, Michelle. I cannot handle any more.
Michelle, would you explain boosting? What is boosting?
Yes. Okay, excellent question. Thank you for asking. Oh, I can maybe even show you on here because we are on Facebook. Now, my Facebook page might look a little bit different than yours. I have a little bit different business plugin. Don't worry about that or stress about that. But this one says boost unavailable. I think because it says I haven't set up a billing method. That's fine. Don't stress out about that. But on your Facebook page, you have the option to boost a post. Usually this says click here, boost. And so boosting is specific to paying for advertising on a specific post that you have. So different from an ad that might advertise your website, or different from an ad that might advertise your Facebook page so that more people will like it. Boosting a post on Facebook is a specific piece of content. Or a lot of people use them. We use them. We boost posts. So Facebook doesn't love outside links, but we will boost posts that link back to our site because we want more people to see them. So we might pay $20. Sometimes if it's really important, we might pay $100. Sometimes it's not very important and we pay $5. And so you can just boost a post so that more people will see it. And you can choose when you're boosting to only show it to your audience. So for example, this one right here did not do very well. It was an external link. It's for a summit that's going on that I'm part of. It's called the Ground Up Summit, but there's lots of pictures. There's a link. So Facebook didn't show it to very many people. It showed it to 210 people right here, you can see. Now I could choose to boost that post to all 5,000 of my followers. I could choose to boost that post to only 1,000 of my followers, or I could choose to boost that post to an entirely new audience. So if I was trying to grow my audience, it would be possible for me to hit boost, and then I could say, I want you to show this post to women between the ages of 35 and 45 that have these specific interests. So, but boosting is specific to a post and not to a page or not to a website. Does that help?
Yeah, it does. It does. And it's available on a page. I don't have a page. I just work within Facebook groups.
Right.
But so this is for your entity as a Facebook page.
Yes.
Okay.
This will only work on Facebook pages. It doesn't work on personal pages or in groups,
Okay.
but it does work on business pages.
Thank you.
So I have a question. Another one. Go ahead. So if we have a team page or a team group page that people are going to, is it better to kind of put my efforts into helping the team and making that and have a theme and direct people there? Or is it better for me to have my own page, which I have, but I don't use very much, and really stress that? Like, is the page more important, or just work with the group and just send people there if time is limited?
Okay, so there are about 7 different ways to answer this question, and I'm not sure I'm going to do any of them justice, okay? But I'm sure going to try. By golly, I'm going to try. When we talked about this, I got to close that. One of the sections, and you probably saw it if you watched this, but there's different audiences, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have the strangers that have never bought from you before. You have the followers that follow you but maybe have not purchased from you, and then you have raving fans who have purchased from you but you want to keep happy and you want them to continue to buy from you. But you need to figure out how to advertise to these different audiences, right? But here's the thing, the people who follow you on a group or even on a page, they might be followers, but you still have to figure out how to advertise to strangers and get more people to come in, either to join your group or to advertise to them in an entirely different way. Facebook groups tend to be the second touch, which is fine, but usually they hear about the group from somewhere else. And so you still need to have an active campaign with strangers in order to get them to come. But to answer your question on a different level, like, is it better to have a group or a Facebook page just on that some level? There are pros and cons of each. So you can have a group, and on the group, if you post, people will be notified. They don't get notified on a Facebook page. So one benefit of a group is that they do get notified, and if they are people who check their notifications, whether they're on or off, then they're going to see, they can have the option to come back and see your post. The disadvantage is that you can't boost posts. So there actually are some features now on groups that they're testing, but I think that we're going to see them go away. I'm not a social media, I do not have special skills, okay? I'm not clairvoyant and I cannot predict the future, but I have hunches on things in the social media space. So I don't know if you've noticed in some of your groups, but I noticed it within this group that there was one post that after a couple of days, it said, "This post looks important. Would you like me to notify everyone who hasn't seen it yet?" And so I went, yeah, absolutely. Check. And so then it sent a new notification to everyone who hadn't already seen it. Now that is gold money right there. And it's free right now on Facebook groups. But I think that you're going to see Facebook groups turn into like pages where you're going to have to pay to boost. But for now, they totally work. But the advantages of pages is that you can't advertise a group. So if you want to grow your followers in a group, you can't boost anything. You can't advertise it. You have to just manually either add people, invite people, or other people have to add people and invite people. On business pages, I can advertise. So I can say, you know what? My target market is people in transition from working to retired. And so I'm looking for people between the ages of 59 and 72. And I'm looking for people who are trying to find something to do with their lives. They're still super smart. They're smart as a tack, but they are looking for something to do, and they actually make pretty decent doTERRA sales reps. They're not great on social media, and I get that, but they're learning, and if I teach them some skills, that can do it. So I could go and I could do an ad specifically to those people on a page, but I could never get them to the group that way. So that said, there are some ways that you would want to use a business page, but I think that if the group is working and you are having a really great way of funneling people into that group, then you could make the group work for you just fine.
Okay, so like I have my personal Facebook page, and I use that mostly because I haven't, but I do have my professional Facebook page too. So maybe if I did for right now, stick with my personal one and kind of do a little bit more there, and keep that percentage that you said, that you talked about, and then just go from there. All right. Hey, thanks.
Sure. Anyone else have a question? I should check the chat box because I told people they could chat. Nope, nobody has sent me a message in the chat box. That's all right. My self-esteem is low.
I have a question.
Okay, go
Can you
ahead.
hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I am wondering just about sending out newsletters. How, if I have downline who are sending out newsletters also to our team, like, where does it matter? Should I worry about that crossover? Some of the information is exactly the same, or?
So I think that if you're sending different content, and I think if you're providing value, no one should complain about what you are offering or that you're sending them something else. Now, sure, that is one of the common complaints that happen in direct sales. Like, I get so many email and newsletters and I get so many messages and I don't know who I should listen to because my direct upline person says X and this is a really great system or strategy, and but 4 people above them and they're making more money, they suggest X. So I think that you just address it, that if you send a newsletter, which I think you really should, there should be a newsletter that you send out to just customers that are just using products and are not building, and there should be some information that you send out to builders and people who are building a doTERRA business. Or if you put them in the same newsletter, that's fine. Just say, hey, if you're a user, look here. If you're a builder, look here. But just say, hey, I know that you could even talk about it. Hey, I know that so-and-so, Osti sent out an awesome newsletter and she talked about this and this, which is great. If you're not there yet, here's a great tweak on how you can make that work for you. So you could even address some of the things that are happening in upline newsletters. Not that you have to be like a news source that is totally answering them and responding to everything, but if you feel like your team needs to know something a little bit different, it's okay to say, hey, if you're not a diamond yet, this tool might not work for you. That's okay. Try this. And so you can speak to some of that language, but note that the people who signed up under you, they signed up under you, and they're going to want information from you just as much as they might want information from someone else. And you might have information that you can provide. Now, I'm not a fan of duplicating efforts. So I wouldn't put a newsletter out if you feel like your upline's newsletter is great and you want to just forward that on to your team. Just say, hey, listen, so-and-so that is 4 steps up sent this awesome newsletter out. You probably got it. But if you didn't, I wanted to make sure you saw it because I loved what they said about this. And then you could forward that along. And then that saves you from writing a newsletter. But if they're not doing that and that kind of education isn't coming out and people aren't getting ideas about new oils and how to use the oils and how to best use the oils, well, then you need to be providing that education and getting it out to them. That's part of the raving fans over here, right? They know you, but they still need to continue to be email nurtured by you so that they are being brought in on other specific products and services and that they are feeling connected to you as part of the brand and the business. Does that help? Or did you want me to say, no, you don't have to do a newsletter, and then you'd be like, awesome. Sorry, I can't do it. Can't do it. Okay, anyone else have a question? I'm still having fun, so I'm still here. Okay.
Yeah. It has to do with your audience management, your list management on email accounts and all that. Now, you said something today that, well, you didn't say it today. You said it in December, but I heard it today. And it really, I thought, oh, as I was up till midnight last night trying to manage some things on an email list and finally figured out, oh, I should be putting them in by event. So when you said by event, I went, hallelujah, hallelujah. What are things you can do to get people to subscribe to your newsletter? I mean, I don't feel like we should do a spam blast to just anybody, and I don't think that's legal. But right. What are ways that you can nurture people into wanting to get a newsletter?
Okay, so obviously, if you go to an event, there's a few different ways that I've seen them be successful within doTERRA. So number one, as one of the easiest ways, is to offer a giveaway. So everyone who enters give me your name and email, and you'll be entered to win a bottle of my favorite essential oil. Well, it's actually my second favorite essential oil, because my favorite essential oil is frankincense, but I'm not rich enough to give that one away. So I'm going to tell you my favorite oil is Citrus Bliss. That extra commentary you don't necessarily have to share, right? But whatever it is that you're giving away, or you're giving away diffuser or modern essentials books or whatever it is, giveaways. Now, some people, if they don't care about that, they're not going to enter the giveaway. They're going to say, oh, I don't really care about that, or I didn't have that, so that doesn't work, or I don't even know why I want oils yet, so giving me an oil doesn't help. So I've also seen people give away like Amazon gift cards, or even just a $10 Amazon gift card feels like cash. That costs you less than a bottle of Citrus Bliss, but it's going to might get more people to sign up to your list, to nurture them over time, and then later they might want it. I've actually seen people be really successful with a clipboard. They passed a clipboard around at every single event, and they just said, hey, if you'd like to hear more about upcoming events and promotions, put your email here. I only send emails once a month, or I only send emails once a week. And then people were like, oh yeah, I can handle that. I can handle once a month, or I can handle twice a month. So they'll just write their names down, even without a giveaway. As you get into some bigger things, one of my favorite tools that I use as a speaker is an evaluation form. And so every time I speak, and you might just say, hey, tell me the favorite thing that you had that was part of this party. We have hosts all the time who are putting together events. I would love for you to share what was the best part about this home party for you that you loved, or what was your best part about this class or workshop that you loved, so that we can make more classes like this. And then on that evaluation form, I also have a little thing that says, hey, keep up to date. But one of the things that I do on my evaluation form is I put on there, what other things would you like to learn from me? And I have a list of my other products. So if you see me speak for social media, I have a list that says marketing strategy for the marketing blueprint. I have the marketing trifecta, but then I also have some other things on personal development, like the Make It Happen blueprint, operating at your prime and a limitless life, time management for entrepreneurs. And so think about how you could do that for you. If they're sitting in a class on staying healthy in the winter months, you could have 4 or 5 different boxes that say things like, essential oils for gardening, or essential oils for athletic performance, all those other random things that we talked about earlier, essential oils for pets. And so then people can check the box if they learn about them, and then you get an interest of what they are interested in. They feel like they're filling out a survey instead of filling out an opt-in form. But I do have on there ways to opt in, email address, phone number, and even address. And while they don't have to, I put optional next to it, but I'm surprised how many people fill it out. Now, I will say when I travel and speak and use this, that I will say to people, hey, if you fill this out, I'll send you a copy of the slides, or if you fill this out, I'll give you this other paper. But I don't give them a ton, and I'm surprised how much people are willing, because I treat it like a survey or an evaluation rather than, hey, give me your name and email address. And so that's been good to help get people to convert as well. You can do similar things online. So there are ways to do surveys online where you could have people fill out a survey and capture their name and email. We talked about creating, getting people to sign up for your email list, and creating an opt-in page on your website where people can opt in there as well. So there are ways to do it digitally and ways to do it physically. But I hope that was what you're looking for, or if that helped you.
That is helpful. Thank you. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, I did tell my husband the call would end at some point, but I will take 2 more questions. And so I saw Chris wave. I'm still having fun. Just to be clear, I am still having fun.
As Nikki knows this, I have been searching for a really usable customer management software. Something that is simple, there's lots of ones that have, you create all these pods or whatever, and it's more than I need. I just need simple with maybe even a simple follow-up checklist or something. What have you found people using that is actually working for them?
So the easiest ones are things like MailChimp. I think, and Constant Contact is pretty easy.
Mine is more like a CRM is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, like a contact management system, like or just keep track of people.
Keeping track of people, like I need to follow up with this person in 3 weeks, and I'm sending them these emails, and I have these tasks to do, and they're all in Gmail, or they're all in this, or they're all in that, and they're just a place to keep their information and to keep, okay, my next step with them is this.
Yeah, so I have not found one of those that I love. And I am so sorry that I there are not great recommendations. So I have a friend who uses Evernote like that.
Mm-hmm.
And what she's done is keeps all of her notes in Evernote, but there's a calendar feature. And so she'll go in and she'll put ahead. So she'll go in and actually put people's names on her calendar. In which case that would work if you had a Google Calendar and you could go in and just go, okay, well, I promised I was going to call so-and-so on Friday. I'm going to make an appointment with myself to call so-and-so on Friday. But it's not integrated with like name, address, phone number in the same way, all in one spot. Infusionsoft has that capability, but I think that that's way out of the price range league. The other thing that you could probably get to work for you that does work fairly well, it's kind of used for collaboration, but I think that it would work on an individual level, is Basecamp. So Basecamp, and all of these have like free trials. You could go in and play with it and see if you liked it before you 100% committed, and maybe just try it for a week, put in 10 people. But Basecamp it's made for collaboration, so that if you have teams in multiple places, that you can go in, you can assign people tasks, you can give them due dates, and then when they log in, it'll show them all the things that are due for that day. So if you do it as an individual, it does have a place to keep contacts and information and stuff like that. And you could go in and just type I think it's an activity or a reminder or a to-do, I can't remember what they call it, but you could go in and type it and put an end date. And then when you go in and log in every day, it's going to show you all the things that are due for that day.
Okay, that might help. But I also like that for our team.
Yeah.
Because we're collaborating on things.
Especially if 3 or 4 of you are participating, as many of them do, like in an event or an expo. And together you want to figure out who's doing what and make sure everybody has their to-do list. It can be good for that too. And you can still use it for yourself personally, and you can have different projects that you can invite other people to. So you can have a personal project that no one else sees, and you can have other projects that you do invite team member A, B, C, and D, and then you have another project that you might have E, F, G, and H or something. Can also work with assistants. So you can give your assistant some tasks if you have somebody who helps you in your business.
Awesome.
Is that helpful? Okay. What else? Any last final questions, thoughts, concerns?
I have a thought, and that's that I want to thank you so very much. It has been an amazing experience, and it really has changed a lot of paradigms. And I just want to say thank you.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. I honestly am so glad that it's been helpful. I know that the format ended up being a little bit different than we thought it was going to be, but in the end, I feel like it gave people more time. And where some people would come to the event for the day and then they didn't have time to ask their questions or implement or anything else, I think this is helpful to be able to come back and say, hey, I tried this, and now what do I do? So hopefully that works. I will still pop into the Facebook group from time to time. I won't be in there as frequently as I was before, but feel free to post in and ask your questions, and I'm happy to continue to answer. But more than anything else, just know that I support you, that I am so excited for you and your marketing, and I want it to be successful, and I want it to work for you, and that as you implement at whatever level you are, whether you are advanced or whether you are feeling like you are just brand new at it, it doesn't matter as long as you are continuing to do the work at your level and figuring out what's right for you. And like I said, those daily, weekly, and monthly tasks that you do that help you create a routine in your business, just like you want a residual paycheck, put in those residual actions so that they can be the greatest success for you.
Awesome. Thank you.
That was great.
So much, so much.
All right. Thanks, you guys. Congratulations. Good luck, and continue to utilize those videos as you create your marketing plan for 2017.
Okay.
And everything is going to just stay on the Facebook page, correct?
Yep.
For a while.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks, folks.
Thanks, Michelle.
Good night.
Good night.